Welcome back everyone to UK Homestead. Well, it's a bloody scorcher today and I'm pretty sure the weatherman didn't say it was going to be, but hey ho, you can't believe a word he says anyway. So yeah, now been working in the kitchen garden a lot over the past few days trying to get it organised, and in a situation where I'm happy to leave it for a bit to kind of do its own thing so that I can come out here and work on this mess. So I'm out in the pastures at the moment, and this is our rhubarb patch. So as you can see, it's been going to flower a lot and I haven't been keeping on top of it, and I also haven't harvested any yet, even though some is ready. All of the grass in between the rows has gone absolutely nuts, and it's also encroaching on the beds. So today I'm going to try and tackle it and take back control, just because it's just really getting out of hand. Now this is next to the fruit bushes. Now the fruit bushes are also, I mean, we've mowed in between them the other day, and some of them, as you can see, have still got the grass around the edges, but I already have started mulching these again. Now the problem is, because the bushes are still quite small, we planted them last year, the grass just kind of grows around the top of them, especially these gooseberries, and smothers them. Maybe we should have put them in trenches, I don't know, but this is what we've got. So the plan is to mulch around the edges of all of them, a bit like these ones, and stay on top of the mowing just while the bushes become established, and then it won't be as much of a problem. So we do have that to do out here as well, and we also have a load more fruit bushes to plant in this section here, and then in that section down there behind the row of willow as well, but that is a job for another day. But that is what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks, to try and get those bushes in the ground before the ground gets too hot and dry, because it's getting really warm now. And the soil out here, it's more sandy than clay, but you still only have a short window to work with it to a point where it's nice to work with. But here I have a bed of herbs that I planted last year. As you can see, the grass and the weeds have completely taken over. The sage is pretty bad, possibly dead. This lavender down here, it looks like it's coming back a little bit. But I think what's happened is, when I planted them in last year, I planted them in with obviously every bit of soil that was in their pot, so they were in a sandy mix in the pot. And then because we had a super dry, hot summer, they did really well in this bed. Like the chives are doing okay, and this rosemary was doing okay. But now he started to go red, which apparently can be due to overwatering or cold damp nights in early spring and poor soil nutrients. So I think what's happened with these herbs is, another dead sage there, but that thyme's doing quite well, that their roots are probably expanding past the root ball that they had when they first went in the ground, and now they're realizing that they're in sort of like clay soil, so they're just not doing as well. Now I do have a few more rhubarbs that I need to plant out as well, and I want to keep them all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these herbs out of this bed, get rid of the ones that are no good, and then I'm going to use this bed, once I've taken back control of it, to plant the rhubarb that I have. And then this section here is just going to be one big rhubarb patch, and hopefully all we'll need to do is put some mulch down and then stay on top of the grass between the borders. But it's easier said than done. So I'm going to go get some tools, possibly the mower, and start that now. tricked me. The top half of the bed was super easy to pull out. All the soil was beautifully loose, like I showed you. And then down at this end, there were tons of, I don't even know what they are, to be fair, these things, if anybody knows what they are. Well, there's some kind of perennial weed, and they are all over the place, but there's tons of those. Can you see how they've like got a crown, and you have to dig those out? So there were tons of those down this bottom end, so it took me longer than I wanted it to, but all in all, not a bad job. Now this is what the beds should look like. This is what this should look like. And now I have just started doing this end of the rhubarb, and as you can see already, just when you pull some of the grass out, how easy it comes out. Makes an instant difference, and you can actually see the bed again. There we go. Oh, just grass, honestly. Now I can see why people have raised beds, but when you're wanting to grow this much food, beggars can't be choosers. You have to kind of work with what you've got, and I am a firm believer in, you know, things are supposed to grow in the ground. And if you've got all this land, well, I'm saying all this land, we've got just short of 5 acres, but if you have land, then you're going to maximise growing space by growing in the ground. Like, it's just going to be so much more room for everything, but then you do have the problems like the perennial weeds. Now, crop wise, we have 3 new rows out in the pasture which we have had covered up with cardboard and these tin sheets since last year, so hopefully the perennial weeds will all have been killed under there when we take them off. We're just going to top them up with some compost and grow some of the crops in there. Like, I'm going to have a 3 sisters. I contemplated putting some strawberries in because the planters have gone to pot, but I don't know, we might do a no dig for those, we'll see. And then all the brassicas and stuff are going to go in there as well, because like the raised beds in the garden, they just can't get enough food in for what I want, and they're expensive. So even though it is annoying having to weed, if you think you're going to have a garden and weeding is not going to be a thing for you, then I don't know, you're living in the future somewhere, which is not here, and it's not in connection with nature, because that's not how nature works. You do have to work hard for what you want, and yeah, you have to be smart. So there might have been a smarter way that we could do this. We could maybe put an edge in the bed, but I think we just need to stay on top of the weeds when they're small and use mulch, and that will provide a better result. I think last year everything just ran away with us because there is a lot here for us to manage. There is a lot for us to manage, especially with us only being in like year 3 of homesteading. Look at all these fruit bushes. So it's just kind of like learning the best ways of doing things, but we have to spend like a day in each section pulling all the weeds out. So what is one day out of 365 when you're going to get food for a year? Like, it's just a no-brainer to me, and it's all part of it. It all makes you feel connected to it, because you have to work for the food that nature provides. Like, this is our raspberry patch. Most of the raspberries died last year because we didn't water them enough, because we had that really hot summer. What can you do? But we don't like the layout of this raspberry patch anyway, so we're going to change it. And that is a bunch of vines down there what all need digging up, so you live and you learn. But anyway, back to the rhubarb. I'm going to go in for a cup of tea because I'm thirsty after that work, and then we're going to harvest some rhubarb and take back control of this monstrosity. And voila, here we are, the finished result. This is the bed that had the herbs in it, so it's been fully de-weeded. We have put some alpaca poop on top there and planted 2 more rhubarbs in with a gap in the middle for another 1. And then all the weeds and the encroaching grass have been removed from these rhubarb in these beds. Again, we've put some alpaca poop on just to give the soil some nutrients, and we've given them all a water, And then the last thing that we need to do is mulch them with sheep's wool, which we're going to do tomorrow because I've had enough for today. And there we go. And we're back. Today's job is filling up the rest of these lines with the fruit bushes that we didn't get in last year. So I've just pulled out all the bushes that need to go into the remaining spots that we've got, and we're going to dig those in. We're going to mulch around the outside like these ones, and then that is this plot filled finally. Now we do need to mow it again, but we don't want to cut the grass too short because obviously the moisture escapes from the ground and we don't want it to dry up as well sooner than it has to, really, before the weather sets in, because it has definitely got a lot warmer here, which means it will be very dry very soon and we don't want to have to be watering loads. So we probably will give it another little mow afterwards just to tidy it up. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 20 something plants to get in today. And then once we've done that, in this section here, we're going to do 3 rows of probably about 10 honeyberry plants. So that is the goal for this week, to get this garden ticked off. So they're all nested in. So we'll dig those in and I'll let you know how it goes. Just wanted to quickly jump in while we're putting these in. So as you can see, the gooseberries are quite sunken into the pits. So we were gonna, earlier this year we did contemplate digging the whole of this garden up and moving it to try and kind of figure out this issue, but instead we've decided to keep it here and just keep mulching it and be better at it this year, because obviously it's a responsibility you've got to get used to. But as you can see, like, there's loads of stems at the bottom which ideally need pruning off. Now gooseberries, it's too late to prune these off now. We don't want to disturb any of the growth from this plant because it will give us a nice bountiful harvest. So later on in the year, what we will do, and then each year after that, is we'll keep pruning the bottom stems off as the plant grows, and that will increase the height of the plant from the floor, and it will be easier to maintain that way. But yeah, that's one of the mistakes we've done. When you miss the window, it messes everything up for the rest of the year. So we're at the end of the day now. We managed to get 13 in, and we've got these 10 left to do. So we're going to call it a day at the moment. As you can see, we've got a lot of them mulched with the wood chip, and they've all been mulched right around the bases with alpaca poop. So I've run out of wood chips, so I need to bring another bag of that down, and then tomorrow we'll come out and get these 10 in and then get the honeyberries in.